Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring, and my first video of 2020. That's right, it is January the 1st. It is the first day of a new year and the first day of a new decade. That being the case, I thought I should probably try and do something special, like a New Year's resolution type video or something, but I don't really do New Year's resolutions. And then I thought, well, what better way to start the new year than doing some content on Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, the magazine that has actually been the backbone of my channel for a good while now and will continue to be the case into the new year until issue 80 when the current run ends. So, we're going to take a look at issue 66. But before we do, let's start the new year with some good news. The other day, Games Workshop announced that Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine is now going to launch in Germany. The magazine becomes available on the 8th of January. And that's really good news for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's really good news for people in Germany who want to get their hands on this magazine. It's also good news because it means that Games Workshop are still pushing this out into new territories. They're still trying to find new audiences for it. And each new country that gets added to the list edges it ever closer to getting into America. I know there's a lot of people in America who want to get their hands on this magazine. So hopefully, 2020 will be the year when that finally happens. But for now, good news for Germany, possibly good news for the future of the magazine, which continues to be a very good magazine indeed. If you don't know what it's all about, it's a weekly publication from Hachette Publishing in association with Games Workshop, priced at $7.99 an issue. In each issue, you get a magazine and you also get cover products, which is normally plastic miniatures, but sometimes paints and brushes. For this particular issue, we get a Plague Marine icon bearer, which is very cool indeed. Let's take a quick look at the sprue. So here we have our Death Guard icon bearer in glorious green. It's not a particularly fiddly miniature, it's just 5 components. Goes together one way, it is mono pose, but is not push fit, it does require glue. And it's very detailed, it's very nice, it's got all the typical Death Guard pitted armour and vaguely rotted elements. We've got a bolter, and then obviously we have the icon of despair, which is very cool, very detailed. Looks like he's got some grenades on the front there. The face, it actually has a hole where this breathing apparatus pipe goes into the front of the mask, but without it, it just looks like he's going, ooh! Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, depending on your point of view, this frame retails for £17.50, which is a heck of a heap of cash for one miniature. I really wanted this miniature, but $17.50 was a lot. I mean, you can get it online with a 20% discount and stuff, but even so, for one miniature, that is quite a lot of cash. But of course, Conquest magazine is only $7.99, so if you pick up this magazine at $7.99, you are getting a massive saving of £9.51 on this frame, which is fantastic. That's a really good deal. So even if you're not interested in the magazine, if you can find this on a shelf somewhere, it's probably difficult at this point. I can't imagine there's many places that are still stocking it on the shelf at this point, but you can order single issues online. But yeah, well worth picking up if you need an icon bearer, because it's a really good deal. Let's take a look at the magazine. So we're going to whiz through this quickly, because frankly, I drank too much red wine last night and I need to go and have some coffee. We start with some fluff. We have the Space Marines Black Templars. We always get fluff at the front of the magazine. So a little bit on those guys and what they have been getting up to, floating around in their space fleet, crusading. And then we have the Renegades of Nurgle, a bit on the Heretic Astartes of Nurgle there. And then we go into the Annals of the Space Wolves. At this point, the fluff stuff is quite bitty. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit all over the place, because now we've got a little bit on Craft Worlds as well. Towards the start of the magazine, it was a lot more focused on Ultramarines and Death Guard, but we've kind of dealt with those guys now in some detail, and we're touching on everything else We've touched on other things in the past, but now we're just all over the place. Bit on the craft worlds, and then a showcase. What have we got here? The Phoenix Lord, Warp Spiders, Farseers, Howling Banshees. I like the Howling Banshees. When I first picked up a White Dwarf magazine, it actually had some Howling Banshees in there, and I was quite taken with them and the look of them. I thought they were very striking. And then down here, we've got the different colours of the craft worlds in all the different guardians. Good stuff. Then we are into our icon bearer building guide. We've got our usual clipper safety that they always have to put in. And then very simple one-page instructions. It's a very simple miniature. It goes together one way. And it looks awesome when it's assembled. And then we are into our painting guide. I can't imagine there's going to be anything particularly different here to what they've done with other Death Guard miniatures. It's just the classic Death Guard armor with the gold trim. And that's pretty much it. So they've got the base colors on, they've done the shades, and then it's showing you highlighting. These painting guides are always very good. They always have good choice of images to really get up close to show you what's going on. And then I like what they do at the end. They always have this this page where they just show you the miniature from different angles. So if you've been following the painting guide, you can double check that you haven't missed something. It's always the worst thing when you finish a miniature, maybe even get as far as varnishing it, and then you suddenly go, oh no, I haven't painted just up under his arm there. Happens to me sometimes. But there we go, and now we are into our scenario for the issue. We have opening the warp portal. What's this all about then? It says the Death Guard are in the process of opening a warp portal in the city of Meyerfurt, using a twisted icon of Nurgle as a focus. The Space Marines must slay the icon bearer and stop the ritual before they find themselves overwhelmed by a horde of demonic beasties. So, what have we got? Okay, we're doing our own pick of armies again. Last issue, they sort of introduced the concept of building armies by power rating. So we've got a power rating of 30. The Death Guard must include a Malignant Plaguecaster and a unit of 7 Plague Marines with an Icon of Despair. And the Space Marines must include a Librarian. The Death Guard deploy the Plague Marines and the Malignant Plaguecaster inside the Summoning Circle, which is there. As you can see as well, they've picked the central map and then they've given you a choice of what you do with the other two and what terrain you put on it. So we really are getting into that free-flowing stage where you can build the battlefields your own way. Even when there's a narrative scenario, they're giving you the freedom to put scenery where you want, choose the battle match you want. The rest of the Death Guard move on to the board at the start of their movement phase. Space Marine players deploys in the blue zone. The Death Guard player wins if the Plague Marine with Icon of Despair is within the Summoning Circle at the end of the game. Game lasts 5 battle rounds. So it's just kill the Icon of Despair. Fine. There we go. Straightforward enough. And then right at the back here we have our data sheet for the Plague Marines, now with the details added in for an Icon of Despair. And what does an Icon of Despair do, you may ask? It says units that are within 6 inches of any enemy units with an Icon of Despair must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic, because they are despairing. And there we go. That's the end of the magazine. Not too bad at all. Let's take a look at what's coming up next. So issue 67. Oh yeah, it's those sniper scouts that I'm not particularly looking forward to. But then in issue 68 we get... Oh look, it's another Hemotrope reactor. We've already had one of these. They're a big chunky piece of terrain. They normally come in sets of 2, so I was expecting to get the second one. It's not that exciting to get something you've already got, but more terrain is always good. The terrain is always the third player in a game of Warhammer 40,000, and having loads of different terrain to choose from really helps to make your battles interesting. And also, that's good value at $7.99. But there we go. What I'm going to do, what I always do in these videos, is I do a little running tally here, which is the cost of subscribing to the magazine at $7.99 an issue versus the cost of purchasing all of the cover products from the magazine at full retail price. I don't take into account any online discounts that you may be able to get, but I also don't take into account the value inherent in the magazine itself. So it's just cost of subscribing versus full retail price of the products, which hopefully some people will find interesting. But that is it from me for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider liking. And if you have really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so that we can get the new year off to a fantastic start. Hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.